In this video, we're going to discuss layout tabs. Down here on the bottom left, you've got model and layout tabs. By default, you should have two of them, layout 1, layout 2, and you've got here a plus sign to create additional, as many as you want. What's going on here is model tab, model space, actually command alias ms, m space, which is what gets us to here. Model space and what the other is called is paper space, or PS. They were very common and necessary back when, or prior to, AutoCAD having layout tabs. The layout tabs definitely, in my opinion, much nicer, much easier, much clearer to deal with. Here in model space, or on the model tab, you notice over here I have model for, and it says model or paper space on my status bar, which if you don't have it, you come up here and click on model space and it'll display it here. So if I were to click here, it would actually take me to one of the layout tabs. Now, you don't have to click there. You can also just simply click on the layout tab. Additionally, if you type P space or PS, it'll also bring you here. Paper space, or, and notice it does say paper here on the status bar. Paper space or the layout tabs, it looks exactly like that, as it is your paper. It's the sheet you're going to be printing out on. It's giving you a quick idea of what really it's going to look like. Now, the paper itself is not selectable, and there is this dashed line. We'll discuss that when we do printing. And then there's this rectangle here. If I hover, it is not a polyline. It is actually called a viewport. Now, we'll discuss that in a later video as well. For now, probably the easiest thing to do, the best thing to do, is to simply right click on this tab and delete. Hit OK. And then you will right click on this tab and hit delete. Now, when you delete the last one you have, I'm going to hit OK, but it's going to give me a layout 1 again. It can't not have a layout tab. So one, there will always be one there by default, which is fine. Now, additionally, when I am on a layout tab, I now have a new ribbon, or a new tab on my ribbon called layout. So if I select this, I have a new ribbon and panels, layout, layout viewports, create view, modify view, update, styles and standards. From here, really where I'm going to look for is, now this here, drop it down, new layout, and of course from template, but page setup. And I'm going to get this window, page setup manager. Now I'm going to go ahead and close this because I'm going to open it up a different way as well. And if I go down to my layout tab, right click, I have several options here. New layout, from template, delete, rename, move or copy, select all layouts, activate model tab, page setup manager. This is the one we're going to come back to. Plot, drafting standard setup. Of course, I have a couple of them that are grayed out. Export layout, dock above status bar. So back up here, page setup manager, and I get that same window. Now, don't be surprised. You'll see several layouts here. Here you could create a new, but you're also going to modify. For modifying each of these, you're going to do it from, or modify only the one that you're actually on. So modify, and I get this window. Now later in another video, we'll have printing or plotting, and that window will be identical to this. The difference is, right now if I hit OK, I'm just updating the page setup, the format and the properties for the page or that sheet, for this layout tab. By printing, when I go up to here, plot, print, click it here on the quick access toolbar, this same window where if I hit OK, it is going to print or plot to something. So in this case, what I want you to do for layout 1, for modifying or updating this layout tab, there are 3 primary items to look at, and those 3 being the printer, What printer are you using? That's right here. And what paper size are you going to print? It's right below it. And then third, what actually are you printing? And in this case, the plot area, there are options: display, extents, layout, or window. We're going to leave that alone. Right now, per the assignment and per our properties, per our template, the only printers we know that we really have available, yours probably says none. I want you to select, should be third or fourth one down. It says Microsoft Print to PDF. That will be the printer. Now in here you can go to the printer's properties. I don't want you to do that, but knowing that you can, that is one option. The next thing, after Microsoft Print to PDF, right here I want you to select the paper size. Now in this case, the first tab you're going to create is an A-size sheet. An A-size sheet is a letter size sheet. Now remember, A5, A4, A3, those are metric size sheets. We're not going to mess with those. Right here is your tabloid, which is actually another name for ledger, which is another name for your B-size sheet, your 11 by 17. So we're going to keep this one as letter. The third thing is layout. Now almost always when you are printing from a layout tab, what to plot, you will leave it as layout. So as mentioned previously, there are three primary things you should be concerned about or always double checking. What printer you're wanting to select, the paper size or sheet size you're going to be printing on, and then what exactly you're wanting to print, layout, display, extents, window. Even though these are just the three primary items, doesn't mean you shouldn't be looking at the rest of the settings. Now, most of these we're going to be looking at when we talk about actually printing or plotting in another video. But until then, the one other item at this time you want to look at is right down here in the corner, drawing orientation. Portrait, landscape, plot upside down, we're not going to do. Portrait being your vertical, such as right here, and landscape being your horizontal. Give you a different arrangement there. So at this time, I'm simply going to say OK. And I'm back to this window. I'm going to say OK. And the only reason it moved is because we changed printers. However, nothing actually changed. This was an A-size sheet. And Z enter, A enter will give me the sheet and all. So really nothing has changed. Now, I'm going to go ahead and delete this, the viewport. Again, we'll talk about that later, but right now you don't need it. At this time, I'm pretty much done. However, I want to create a layout per the assignment for every possible sheet that I would be printing on. This way they're all set up. We're going to create title blocks and borders in here. Ultimately, I could have a layout for every problem I want to draw. For example, I could have about 36 of them, one layout per problem from the MD4 drawings. I can have a layout for my black and white printers and a duplicate layout or another layout looks exactly the same way, but it's meant for my color printers. I could have different sheet sizes, and that's really where we're going to go right now. So right here, again, right click, and I could rename. At the same time, if you just double click on the layout itself, you see that it's highlighted. I'm going to type capital A and then in parentheses HOR for horizontal and hit enter. Now, I could do this again. Just because I clicked on this, I'm still in a horizontal. So click here in this layout. I can again right click, Page Setup Manager, modify, Microsoft Print to PDF, letter, layout. All of that is good, exactly the way I want it. But this one I'm going to switch to portrait, and I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to close. Now again, the viewport, whether you keep these or not, I don't care. It doesn't matter right now. I'm going to get them out of the way, and I'm going to erase it. And here I have an A-size sheet that is in a portrait or vertical orientation. And I will double click here and type A, parentheses, VERT, and hit enter. Now there is another option, and what I could do, if I go with horizontal, I could, if I have created several items in here, if I have changed a lot of these settings, that can become tedious in itself, so I may not want to keep editing or modifying each layout. If I can save myself steps, I'm going to. So if I right click, there is this move or copy. Again, new layout, from templates, delete, rename, move or copy. Go ahead and click on move. Now in here, if I simply click here, move to the end, a vertical, notice what it's asking. It says before layout. So the layout I'm in is a horizontal. Currently I am in here selecting to where to move it to. So if I click here, move to end, and I hit OK, it simply moved it to the end. So I will do that again and say put it in front of vertical. Additionally, I can just grab here and move it or back. But what I want you to pay attention to, that said move or copy. If I want to make a copy of this, right here, create a copy, I'll say move to the end and hit OK. And there I have one. It added the parentheses number 2. And I'll click on that. It's identical. The settings are already there. If I right click Page Setup Manager, modify, all the settings are already there per the way they were for a horizontal. Now in this case, I don't want it to be an A horizontal. I want it to be a B size sheet. And some software that will say 11 by 17. Some software will say tabloid. Some software will say ledger. Those are all exactly the same. So in this case, we're going to select tabloid. You should notice right here in the little display it says 11 by 17. We're still Microsoft Print to PDF. Layout is what we're still going to use. And from here on out, B, C, and D size sheets, we're going to always do landscape. At this time, just assume that's the way it always is unless you hear otherwise, which I doubt will be the case. So in this case, go ahead and hit OK and close, and Z enter, A enter, and now I have an 11 by 17 sheet, which is a B size sheet. Now for a C size sheet, I'll right click and copy again, move to end, create copy, hit OK. I'll double click here, capital C. Now the question is, how do I get this? So page setup again, modify, how do I get this to a C size sheet? Because here for paper size, Microsoft Print to PDF. Notice there is no C size sheet. Is there anything here to customize? I don't see anything. Sometimes you'll look for one that says either more or something with a ... Instead of worrying about exactly how to make this work, we're just simply going to select none for your printer. Most likely, and of course every company is different, but most likely the most common sheets used for technical engineering type drawings going to be an A or a B size sheet. Until then, we'll be using Microsoft Print to PDF, and in this case, none, just so you can at least select that sheet size. So again, we've selected none. Now down here, letter, and all of a sudden you've got all kinds of sheets available. Now per the media size handout, media sizes handout sheet that we went over, plus is on Canvas available for you. I've filled in some of the dimensions. You're going to go down here, and instead of ANSI, for example, ANSI I see 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17, but your C is truly the standard size, 17 by 22, 22 by 34, and so on. Instead, use architectural C, 18 by 24 or 24 by 18. Now you may have to manipulate this. In this case, use the 18 by 24, and then we'll select landscape. And then D, 24 by 36. Why? Because 18 inch, 24 inch, 36 inch rolls of paper is what seems to be probably the most common rolls of paper size roll size that is purchased today. So, but again, your respective companies that you may be working with, they determine what their standards are, and you would change accordingly. So, for this situation, C tab, no printer or none, 18 by 24 architectural C. We'll leave it as landscape, and I will hit OK. Close, and then one more. Move or copy. Move to the end. And D. I misclicked there. And page setup and modify. Still none for the printer. Architectural D, 24 by 36. I'll leave it as landscaped, and I will hit OK. Close. And if this appears to be in a vertical orientation, then you just simply need to go back to it, modify, and change either this size here or your portrait or landscape size, either way. But you should notice that mine's definitely in a horizontal or landscape orientation, as well as the C size sheet. B, A, vertical, and horizontal. And for this video, we are done.